You're gonna have to serve somebody.
Hi, I'm Jane and I'm here with Billy Hallquist today to talk about the Bob Dylan tribute concert. Hi Billy, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Can you talk about past performances actually, the past tributes that you've had for Bob Dylan?
This will be our 6th year at this location, and we also do another event up in Maple Grove at their facility. It's our 4th year up there, but we've been coming back. This is our home. This is where we have met with probably our greatest successes and our biggest crowds, and this is kind of like our home base.
Can you talk about this upcoming tribute that you're planning for?
Yes. On August 9th, we will be back here. We will have many returning musicians. The core group is Stan Kipper on drums and Ralph DeCoot and Chico Perez. Matt Fink will be with us again on keyboards, Jim Steinworth on keyboards as well, Lonnie Knight, Gary Lopak, and I and Aaron Olswang. We've kind of formed the core group, and we do a number of performances to get things going, and then we bring up our guests. And the guest list is many returning people. We have Dan Israel, of course, who is St. Louis Park's Pride and Joy. We have Gene LaFond, Barry Thomas Goldberg, Arnie Fogel, Barbara Meyer, Mark Lemoyne will be with us this year. James Loney will be here. And I'm starting to draw a blank as I go through the poster. And our special guests this year, we will be joined by none other than Scarlett Rivera. And Scarlett is best known, she's a mythological figure to me. She's best known as the violinist for Bob Dylan during the Desire and Hard Rain album era, and I toured with him as part of the infamous or famous Rolling Thunder Review, and had a part in the Ronaldo and Clara movie, which is a unique thing. But Scarlett will be coming to play with us for this year's events, and then after we're done, she'll be doing a solo performance with some of the members of the band at the Dakota. So
that's so special that she's coming.
She is. It certainly is a treat. We played with her last May. We did a benefit in Duluth for the Duluth Armory Restoration Fund up there, and Scarlett was available. I had not met her prior to that. The organizers of that event turned me on to Scarlett and said that she would be interested in coming, and boy, I'll tell you, it was quite the experience. I mean, we sounded, as we were doing Hurricane and One More Cup of Coffee and that type of stuff, it sounded just like Bob Dylan.
You listed off so many names. How many people exactly are involved in planning this event?
This year there are about 23 musicians that participate, and then there are a number of people who work behind the scenes. Mark Perkansky is the guy who keeps the trains running on time and keeps the show going, serves as master of ceremonies. And any number of volunteers, my children will be helping with the merchandise table and the stage setup and that type of thing. There are just a number of people who devote a lot of time and energy and to making these things come up.
Why did you choose the St. Louis Park area to host your performance?
I'm not sure that we chose St. Louis Park. I think they chose us. There was initially, before I took control of this show, Kevin Odegaard was involved in the creation of what was then called Blood on the Tracks Live, which goes all the way back in history to the recording of the album Blood on the Tracks, where Kevin and Peter Stursko and Weber and Billy Peterson and Greg Inhofer and Peter, I think I said Peter Stursko, where they performed and actually helped re-record a number of tracks on Blood on the Tracks, which was already done and ready to deliver. The album was rushed to production, and the local guys never received the album credit, and to this day have not received the album.
Well, early one morning the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she changed it all, and her hair was still red. Well, her folks and her lives together sure was gonna be rough. Never did like mama's homemade dress, thing but wasn't big enough. I was standing on the side of the road, rain falling on my shoes. Heading up for the East Coast, Lord knows I paid some dues. Tangled up in blue.
She was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. Helped her out of a jam, I guess, but I used a little too much force. So you know that cause falls a cud, landing in our web. Split up on the dogs and ate, both agreeing that it was bad. She turned around to look at me as I was walking away. I heard her say over my shoulder, we'll meet again someday on the avenue.
Moving on 10 years later, there was, I believe, Dylan's 60th birthday. It was at First Avenue. We did a performance, and that band reunited. And subsequent to that, Kevin wrote a book, A Simple Twist of Fate, about those sessions. And then the band, Blood on the Tracks Live, would perform at events, to book signings and things like that to promote the book. In 2009, we were invited to play here, and then I played a very small role in that. Kevin and I go back to 1974, 3, I believe, is when we first met, and we've been some partners in musical endeavors throughout that time. And he asked me to participate, and the next year I took a little bit of a more active role. Following year, I kind of took over the operational end of it. Kevin does not care to perform live, and kept backing farther out, and eventually handed over the keys of Blood on the Tracks Live to me. At that point, we changed our name from Blood on the Tracks Live, because with Kevin leaving, we have nobody on a regular basis who is actually involved in the recording sessions, and we did not want to give the impression that we were. And so we changed the name to Salute to the Music of Bob Dylan, which we have been using now for the last 3 years.
Very cool.
Thank
Very
you.
cool. And each year you guys come up with a new band name? Can you tell me about that?
That's the infamous opening act.
Okay.
The opening act is the entire evening is devoted to the music of Bob Dylan. Kevin and I are songwriters, and we always use the opening act as, I will use the word excuse, as an excuse to perform some of our original material. The first year we were called, it was an actual KO band reunion. The next year we called ourselves Three Amigos.
Okay.
And then we kind of came on to this mythology of using a different name each year.
Every year.
The following year we were the Los Angeles Rod and Reel Club, followed by Dirt Farmers. Last year we were Deja Blue.
Okay.
And this year we will be known as Chrome Horse Diplomats. It's very similar to the Spinal Tap drummer mythology. Is every year the band meets some sort of a demise.
Okay.
We have to find a new band.
Every year this happens.
Every year.
Okay. Is there like a special meaning to each of those names that you decide every year?
It kind of comes up. I mean, the KO band was an actual band that Kevin and Gary and I and Lonnie played in a later incarnation of that as well. There was an actual KO band in '76. And Three Amigos was when Kevin and Gary and I perform, we have a very good vocal blend.
Okay.
And somehow or other, some of the wives and girlfriends kept referring to us as Three Amigos.
Okay.
So we adopted.
Yeah.
The LA Rod and Reel Club is an actual entity out in Los Angeles. That year, the theme was kind of oceanic, on the sea type of songs, and so we adopted that one. And there's usually some sort of quirk that comes
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
That comes up with the name.
Yeah. About the band, where do you guys rehearse? How long do you guys rehearse for?
It is something that, I mean, all of the musicians, I mean, Scarlett lives in Los Angeles, and all of the musicians are working musicians, and don't necessarily, we don't play as a cohesive unit only for these shows. So rehearsal is always always something that we try. If our shows are on Wednesday and Saturday, the Monday and Tuesday are devoted to rehearsal. Where it ends up can be involved
Depending,
in a number of
right.
For the first several years, before we got bigger, we rehearsed in Kevin's living room. We've rehearsed in Steve Grossman's office. The last couple of years we've been rehearsing at a professional facility called Taylor Sound.
Okay.
We usually get together the Monday and Tuesday, work out each show. There's a number of repeats that we have that carry over from year to year, and a third to a half of the songs are new, and so it's a matter of learning and arranging them as well. I always say that the shows always come off far better than we have any right to expect.
A surprise performance.
Yes.
I'm sure it's not, but where, can you tell me about Guitars for Vets and how the performance
Yes.
incorporates Guitars for Vets?
Yes. Guitars for Vets is an organization, it's a national organization. They have, I believe, 30 chapters now in 20 states. I think they were created in 2007 by Dan Van Buskirk, who was one of the original founders, and Patrick Nettersheim. And they started this organization as a way of providing service and comfort and aid to returning vets who suffer from PTSD. The program itself consists of, after they're referred by a veterans organization, the participants receive a guitar to use and 6 guitar lessons. Upon completion of the course, they are then presented with that guitar. And I believe there are in excess of 2,000 veterans who have graduated or completed the course. There are over 100 volunteers around the country. We have 2 chapters, one here in Minneapolis and one in New Brighton, I believe. And you know, it's an excellent program. It's a wonderful way of dealing with the stress and the effects of PTSD. A number of the graduates or of the program come and help us every year. Mike Delorier and his wife and Donnie Edson, come and help us. They man the tables and they're extremely. I mean, I can see they're extremely grateful for the benefits that they've derived, from the program. And then you put that throughout the country in 30, multiply that by 30, and it's an excellent way for us to get an opportunity to perform in front of people and then raise awareness and funds to support that effort. This year I have a little bit of a challenge in that Leonard Skinner gave Guitars for Vets a check for $10,000.
Wow.
So I have taken it upon myself to try to beat that.
Okay.
So anybody who comes to these events, these are free events, and they are under no obligation to make any contribution. Hopefully they are moved by the presentation and by the performance, etc., to voluntarily offer support. And we certainly accept donations. No one should feel like, oh, I can't go to that show because I'm unable to or I'm unwilling to make a cash donation. That's strictly voluntary. One of the people here, Patrick Ginter, is the person who did the artwork, the painting. He's been here for the last couple of years on an informal basis. He provides paintings here, and then if he sells paintings, he donates a portion of that to Guitars for Vets. But another way to help is if people wish to bring, if they have an old guitar. I bought Tommy a guitar, and he never brings it out of his case. It's sitting under his bed, gathering dust. You can bring that guitar. We'll put it to good use. Or if you can't come here, Jim Harms My Music out on Highway 55. They serve as a drop-off point. So we put those guitars to good use in some way, shape, or form. So again, it's an opportunity for us to perform, and if in so doing we can provide some help to a very worthwhile organization, we do so. One more thing.
Okay.
As you can see, I have trouble coming up with words. One more thing is that usually we do a presentation at each show, and we have had speakers speak on behalf of Guitars for Vets. The first show we did here in, I believe, 2010, both Patrick Nettersheim and Dan Van Buskirk were here. And both of them are just highly eloquent speakers. And if anybody wishes to see some of their comments, we did a music video of Knocking on Heaven's Door. And that is available on YouTube, and we've incorporated Patrick and Dan's words into that video, and it kind of serves as a piece to really explain to people what it is that we're doing. Dan has since retired. However, as of this moment in time, there will be an event in Las Vegas that requires Patrick and Eric Wiseman, who are the leaders of this organization in Milwaukee. They will probably be in Las Vegas at a DAV convention. Dan Van Buskirk is considering coming. So hopefully that'll all come
Very exciting.
with. And in addition to George Vondreska, who is a local representative who speaks equally as eloquently on behalf of Guitars for Vets, hopefully we'll have some inspirational speech for all of the people here.
Great, yeah. Did you want to talk more about that painting by chance?
Other than Patrick, I have to be honest, I did not think that it was a viable candidate for use as a poster. But Scotty Sansby, our graphic designer, and Mark Perkansky, who's a friend of Peter's, said. And so I thought, well, it's not going to work. But I think it's a very stunning. I'm glad that I deferred to their opinion.
Yeah.
But Patrick will be here. He's certainly a unique fellow, and he will be offering his art for sale and helping the cause.
More about Bob Dylan. What Dylan tunes are you fond of, and why are they your favorite songs?
My personal Dylan favorites tend to be late 70s into the first albums. I'm more aware of them. They spoke to me as a young guy coming up. That's where my interests are. I mean, I think Like a Rolling Stone is the best song ever written. and going back to the blonde on blonde era, and bringing it all back home, and certainly Blood on the Tracks. Those albums are just amazing to me. Forever Young, Forever Young is just an amazing song, and it has been done and covered by so many people. I would say my top 10 Dylan songs is at least 100 songs long.
Okay. So what was the first Dylan record you ever bought?
That I ever purchased was probably Bringing It All Back Home. I think. In later years, I got Bob Dylan, the very first one, but I think that was the first one, certainly. And I remember sitting around at Subterranean Homesick Blues and all of those songs, trying to figure out what he was saying, just like everyone else. And She Belongs to Me, and Love Minus Zero, No Limit, Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands. I mean, those, I Want You. It just goes on and on and on.
Just to wrap things up, what would you want people who come to the event to take out of the music, take out of your performance as a band?
Well, I certainly hope that people come. I mean, these are serious musicians, and they take their craft seriously. But above and beyond that, they have this a deep understanding, love, respect for Bob Dylan, as a writer, as a performer, as an American icon, as a Earth icon, a universal icon. They love that, and hopefully that respect, is evident to the people that come here, and hopefully, if we take off on a tangent and go into one of our little train wrecks, that they'll go there with us. But I mean, it is without a doubt the most rewarding musical endeavor. When I've been doing this for nearly 50 years, and it is, to me, it's just very rewarding, and hopefully that is evident to the people who come.
Yeah, you betcha.
You betcha. Speaking of, you betcha. Yes. In fact, you're new here, so you're not aware. There's a last year, and again, there's an ongoing festival called the You Betcha Festival. Last year, I organized a segment of the You Betcha Festival, the Minnesota Made Festival. It was called Minnesota Legends, and it featured bands of my era, the Del Counts, the Ravons, the Youngsters, and we opened with the solo acts like myself and Lonnie Knight and Peter Lang, and the highlight of the day is there was a Thunder Tree reunion, and Thunder Tree is a group that I played with in 1969, 70. We had an album out on Roulette, and so I actually got some of those guys together, and we did a for real reunion and did the songs from the album, and we called it Minnesota Legends. And I forgot we also had David Sandler, who was the creator of a song called Minnesota, and that group is called Northern Light, and we closed the show with a rendition of Minnesota, and I've been trying to carry on that Minnesota Legends theme in a number of ways, to do as an ongoing concert series, and featuring solo or duo or bands of that era, I've been meeting with a number of people. We want to expand upon that concept and make it an ongoing series of concerts, similar to what I do here with the Dylan Show. This year's Minnesota Legends will take place up in Maple Grove, and I'd like to someday bring it back here. And and there are any number of elements as we want to do. Is we want to have an actual facility, a Hall of Fame, if you will, that will serve as a site where people can see memorabilia, experience the music. I would love for there to be a performance venue there. I mean, what better place than a Minnesota Legends museum or a Hall of Fame than to come see to come see the Litter or Joker's Wild or the Trashmen or any number of bands from that era, and then expanding it into what I consider to be later day bands, people that have only been around for 25 and 30 years. Certainly my knowledge goes to back to the mid 60s, the High Spirits, the Gestures. So anyway, so that's an ongoing project of mine that I'm trying to do in tandem with Salute to the Music of Bob Dylan. So hopefully I can keep working on them both. And and if people want to come to the show this year, it'll be in Maple Grove at Town Green. It'll include Lonnie Knight, Tom Lieberman, Tim Smith, Dale Menton of the Gestures. I will act as MC, and Dakota Daypole will also be there. And hopefully there will be an ongoing series, and we can include bands and stuff of that era. Eventually come up with a place to house them.
Great. Anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, I would never think of it now when the cameras are still rolling.
When is the concert? Where is it at?
Oh, sorry, did I not? Where's the concert? When is it?
That was your job.
My bad.
Well, here, Wolfe Park, Veterans Memorial Amphitheater, Salute to the Music of Bob Dylan will take place on Saturday, August 9th. Come early. The music will start at 6:29:59.9, and we are set for an evening. We try to conclude around 9:30. A lot of times the crowds want us to keep going. The answer is always yes. Last year was probably the coldest. I think it was it was 50 degrees when we were playing it, and it had rained prior to, but the place was full, and we lost maybe 100 people due to the hypothermia. But the people who stayed, we could still be playing.